Hey guys, welcome back. So in today's video, Banish the Doubt, I want to talk about our beliefs, the energy in our body, how it translates to these beliefs, and what happens in our world, and how our programming that most of us are, the majority of us are unaware of the programming. And talk a little bit about this baggage that we carry around, again, that we're unaware of. But I really want to start off with how this programming came about, and on a cellular level within each of us, how it really affects each of us. So first off, I wanted to let you know, you may not, many of us don't, I never knew this, that our bodies are comprised of 50 trillion cells within our body. In fact, that might be conservative. The number might be actually more than that. But how these programs came about and how it affects us on that cellular level and then our lives, okay? So our subconscious programs are what control our life. If you ever watched a Dr. Bruce Lipton video, any of his videos, you'll see him talk a lot about this. Okay, from the third trimester to 7 years of age. Okay, we have what biologists and these cells in our body call the coin of the realm, and what they are is in our bodies, energy are the coins. Okay, this is what Dr. Lipton and other biologists talk about. Okay, they're called ADP is the acronym for it. It's a very long. It's kind of a long biological scientific name. Okay, they're molecules that represent units of energy, little molecules within our cells that represent these units of energy. So that's going to be key in this my talk here today. Think of it as almost like those molecules, these little pieces of energy, almost like gas, like gallons of gasoline going into our bodies, being released into our bodies. And when we have thoughts, this the coin of the realm is released into our system. Okay, so um, these are what also known as molecular maintenance of energy within our body. So money is the result of hard work. That comes from, and says, banish that thought. That comes from the book Think and Grow Rich. A lot of us, again, with respect to beliefs, were led to believe or programmed to believe that you have to work hard in order to create money, in order to make money. And a lot of us use the word make um, when we're talking about money. How much money do we make? What kind of money can you make at that job? What kind of money are you making? First off, if you want to make money, go buy a printing press and get a whole bunch of green paint. You'll make money. Money is not, we don't make money. We draw, we energetically vibrate, and we draw almost like a magnet money to us in our lifestyles to us. So keep that thought in mind, okay? Now, if you believe, now this is from the book Think and Grow Rich. If you believe money is a result of hard work, perish the thought. Now, one of the ways in which we can change this programming are through affirmations. And I have here from a Dr. Joseph Murphy this affirmation. Affirm twice a day, each morning and then again at night. I am born to succeed. I am born to win. The infinite within me can't fail. Divine law and order govern my life. Divine peace fills my soul. Divine love saturates my mind. Infinite intelligence guides me in all ways. God's riches flow to me freely, joylessly, endlessly, ceaselessly. I am advancing, moving forward and growing mentally, spiritually, financially, and in all other ways. I know these truths are sinking into my subconscious mind. I know and I believe they will grow after their kind. This is, as I'm talking here today and I'm finishing up my talk in a few minutes, an affirmation you really want to adopt and really start to pay attention to and have it be part of your life. So you're going to see how I'm going to tie this here together in a few minutes, why an affirmation like this is so very vital, powerful, but very vital for basically our very existence. Okay? So moving on, the moment when you feel whole and complete is when your healing begins. We are causing an effect. That's by Dr. Joseph Dispenza. This is a fact you guys might want to write down. 25% of our body's energy is used to operate our brain. So 25% of the energy we use every single day goes to our brain, to operate our brain, the thoughts that we have. See, when you're thinking, when you and I are thinking in the moment, we're using our conscious brain, our wishes and desires. When we start to, when we have thoughts of our desires or wishes, we're using the frontal lobe. When we start thinking about options or thinking about things or analyzing way things should happen or what somebody else said, we are absolutely in our subconscious mind within these programs. So you heard me talking for a second ago about third trimester to age 7 years of age, to age 7. In those years is when we have the most intense programming taking place within us, being downloaded within us. Okay. And the energy that we end up using when we have these thoughts, there's a tremendous amount of energy that's expended from our bodies when we're operating in our subconscious mind. Right? Do you believe, now this is a question, do you believe that your thoughts have to do with the life you'd like to live, your destiny? Do you believe that your thoughts have something to do with your destiny, that the life you would like to eventually lead? Because if you do, now think about this. Now, we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. So 60 to 70,000 thoughts of what we have per day, and 25% of our energy, okay, is used to operate our brain. So you and I have 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. 90% of those thoughts, of the 60 to 70,000, are the same as the previous day. Okay? Now, if 90% of our thoughts are the similar from the day prior, should our lives change much? And if what we're thinking so far today, and this is about midday here on Sunday, if 90% of my thoughts today are going to be the same as yesterday, am I going to change? See, that's the paradox. Part of us, we have this conscious feelings or these thoughts. We consciously wish for and desire things, but 90% of our thoughts throughout the day are the previous day. Well, the previous day was us focusing on what we want and what we desire and thinking about having that, then good, when we're sort of like on that track. But the majority of us are not. The majority of people go through their life unconsciously. We're operating based off of programs we don't even realize that are in our subconscious mind that are driving these thoughts that we have. Okay. We neurochemically condition our bodies and mind to act as one. Okay. So the same choices we have each day will lead to the same behavior. The same behavior then creates the same experiences. The same experiences produce the same emotions. So when we've done something for so many times that we've done it, it's kind of like tying our shoelaces, our bodies know how to do it without us. We don't have to think about it. We just automatically do it. You've heard me use the illustration before about driving a car. When we first learn how to drive, right, we're very conscious. We're very conscious and aware of where the gears are, where the directionals are for changing, blind spots, right? We're very aware of that. But as we start to do this more and more, the more and more times we drive, the more comfortable we get at it, the more, right, our bodies know how to do it better than our minds. We just automatically do it. We're on autopilot. So I want you to think of your subconscious mind as the autopilot. And you've heard me talk about in previous videos. You're driving down the road and a song comes on the radio and you're thinking, you're singing along to the song, and your mind goes to visions or images of what that song produces, right? The energy. And you're thinking about that. But then your subconscious mind, though, is driving the car. So you're thinking of the song or the lyrics, you're listening, you're singing, your mind is there, but you're here driving the car. Your subconscious mind is driving the car. This is exactly what takes place in our life. Our reactions to somebody or some event in our life is our subconscious mind. It's not us. It's not the person. It's not the event. It's the images or it's the beliefs and the program that drives this reaction. I'll give you a quick example. So on Friday, I was driving to work, and there was a bit of traffic up ahead, and the traffic sort of slowed down fairly substantially. You had to really kind of push on the brake. So my eyes went right to my side, my rear view, to look at the person behind me. Why? Because when I was younger, a young boy, I was, I guess, I don't know, 10, 11 years old. My mom, my aunt, and my brother, I think my brothers, I'm not sure, but we were driving down the shore. I believe my brothers were with me, and we had a dog at the time. We were driving down the shore to my cousin's house, who was renting a house down the shore. So we were all going down for a gathering, for a family gathering. Here's why I'm bringing this up. So my aunt, traffic really slowed down hard. But her husband, my uncle, was a tailgater. I think they call that, whatever the car drives very close to my aunt's car. Okay. And as we slowed down, so my aunt really pushed hard on the brake, we kind of all started moving forward. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion, right? Well, my uncle crushed into the back of us, knocking my brothers and I right into the front seat. Scared the bejesus out of me. In fact, my mom said that they were worried about me because when we got out of the car, my face was pure white. Huge accident. Now, because of that, my mind was programmed. Every time I slow down in my car, my eyes immediately dart to the rear view mirror to see the car behind me. Now, I was a little boy. I was in my, like I said, I was pre-teen. But I do that. Now, here's the other reason I'm bringing this story up. The guy behind me, as we continue to start moving forward on Friday, he decided to take his truck and drive right on my bumper. And he started flashing his lights, and he actually started beeping the horn. There was traffic all around us, and I was going to get over to the middle lane, but I couldn't. So I just kept on driving. He eventually got to the middle lane, gunned the gas, went past me just to get in front of me. The reason I'm bringing this up is because his subconscious programming, whatever it was that was driving him in that moment, said, I don't care. I'm going to force this person in front of me. I'm going to force them out of my way so I can get ahead of them. I'm going to go into the middle lane of it's called a parkway here in New Jersey, the highway, and I'm going to gun the gas past him just to get in front of him, just to satisfy what? This is what I'm talking about. Subconscious programming. Something in his life was in that moment driving his thoughts and his conscious behavior of not caring about what's going on around him. Not that he wasn't caring, but he was so consumed with frustration and stress. His body was consuming I'm assuming it was a him, consuming so much energy in those moments. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm going to talk more about this here in a few minutes. So we neurochemically condition our bodies and our mind, okay, to look as one. Okay, the same choices lead to the same behavior. So choices that this person had led to this behavior. Same behavior creates same experiences. So it's not like this was an isolated incident. This person, this is going to continue. Go back to my uncle. His choices to drive that way, to drive on the person in front of him, their bumper, okay, to tailgate, I think it's called, whatever, on that bumper led to the behavior. The same behavior created experiences, and the same experience produces the same emotions. So the emotions of stress, the emotions of frustration, the emotions of anxiety led to that, unfortunately, that accident. And that person, the way they drive will hopefully not lead to an accident, but most likely that's what usually ends up happening. You don't intend for this to happen. You don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to go drive on someone's bumper and force them off the road. It's in these moments, but it's not conscious as far as in the moment I'm doing this. Yes, it's a decision, but it's the subconscious programming that's driving this decision. Okay. Now, the average person, you and I, 95% of our day has a thought going on. So 95% of our day, we have thoughts going on, which means 95% of the behavior during the day is programmed and managed by the subconscious. So 95% of our day, we don't even realize that's the subconscious driving the programming, driving our behavior, driving our decisions, driving our experiences, right? So this is how we are. This is how we act. We don't even realize it. Again, it goes back to third trimester through age 7. And you've heard me say in previous videos, the Jesuit faith. The Jesuits have been teaching their followers for close to 500 years now. Give me a child from 0 when they're born to age 7, and I will give you the man or the woman. Why? Because that is when the most intense programming takes place. And if 95% of our day we have thoughts going on, and 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day we take place, we think of them, and 90% of those thoughts are the same as the previous day. Okay, because we don't realize we're already programmed. We're already just sort of going through this life, and I'd like for you to think of yourself as going through this life with your eyes closed. You're asleep. We were all asleep. And unfortunately, for many people, myself included, it takes an event or a health scare. In my case, it was cancer, for us to open up our eyes, to become aware as to like, what the hell is going on here? What has led me to this particular situation in my life? And that person driving in the car, on the truck behind me on Friday, or my uncle, it may take a horrible crash. In my uncle's case, his mom was in the front seat with him. She was an old lady at the time, was badly damaged in the accident. He didn't intend for that, but 95% of his thought go on. Okay. We have 95% we have thoughts going on that we don't realize are based off the subconscious program, and his subconscious program, my uncle that is, led him to living that type of a life where he ended up, fortunately his mom didn't die from the car accident, but she was badly damaged or hurt in the accident. So this is what I'm talking about. These are situations that take place in our life. I have one of my very best friends. I was just out golfing with him recently, and he shared with me that he went for a colonoscopy, and just a kind of a routine Thursday afternoon. He'd put in his calendar of his wife, I'm going to go get a test for my colonoscopy, and then be it. So he had to take the drink, whatever, the night before. He had to drink the solution or whatever. He went in, and they told him they couldn't do it. In fact, they said, you need to get to the hospital ASAP. He ended up having to have heart surgery. His lifestyle led him to this. His sister he also shared with me, I haven't seen him in a long time before the golf outing, getting together, but his sister also shared that his sister, she had a brain aneurysm, and she'd been dealing with migraine. He said, well, she's been dealing with migraines for a long part of her life. And I thought, but that's the body telling you, hey, something's not right. We need to do something here. All the body finally said enough, and she's been hopefully she's out now, but as of a couple of weeks ago, she had been in intensive care for a few weeks. Okay, so not to kind of sour this talk, but kind of to give you guys an awareness. Okay, this is what happens in our life. Events take place, health scares take place, somebody passes away. In a case like the others, maybe a horrific car accident, to change and to pivot our path in life. So your life is not controlled by the conscious mind, which is wishes and desires. It is controlled by subconscious, which is programmed by observing other people. This is huge. So our life, the majority of our life, is controlled by external conditions and people in our life. We are, again, the programming. Okay, the programming is however other people are acting or reacting controls our behavior. How many of us go through our life, right, saying, well, if they would change, then I'll feel better. If I only get them to change their behavior, then they'll listen to me and they'll be more like me, or they'll act more like me. Everything's external. I remember Dr. Wayne Dyer talking about saying that he quoted somebody, I forget who it was, he quoted saying he got to a place or get to a place in life where you're immune to the good opinions of others. How many of us can get to that point in our life where the good opinions of others have no reaction on us? See, this is one of my passions by making these videos, is to instruct people watching this to learn to live your life, to get to that point in that place in your life where nothing or nobody outside of me changes how I feel about me, has no impact, no influence over how I feel about myself. But the majority of us go through our life because, and you heard me saying in the beginning of this video about us carrying this imaginable sack over our shoulder, and it's filled with rocks and cinder blocks and what have you. That's the programming. This program I talked about here in the beginning, and I'll continue to talk about it throughout this video, is not even our programming. They're not our bricks. They're not our cinder blocks. There are others before us. They are our parents, our grandparents. They are the teachers in school. They are the religious leaders who we listened to growing up. Society, it's the news, it's the media, it's music, entertainment, it's sports. It's all of that has this constant sort of a drumbeat of this is how our life should be. This is how you become something in your life, by looking at other people. I'm not saying that you shouldn't look at and maybe follow others, but you want to find people in that lane that you're going down, that you want to emulate, people who have done what you want to do. So yes, you want to look at others, but watch what they're talking about. If what they're espousing, what they're talking about is sort of a collective and how to we all together achieve more, that we work together. It's not compete against each other. It's not I'm better than somebody else, or I have to do something to get ahead of somebody else. It's not about that. This world is this. It's collective. It's together. It's not this, but we were born into this world learning that it's this. It's competition. It's keeping up with the Joneses, right? This is some of the behavior, some of the programming we received. So if we do this, okay, if we live our life, we're constantly observing others, then your life becomes an expression of their behavior. So here's what our Dr. Lipton talked about. So we grow up and we get into our late teens and 20s and so on. Think about this, and how many times has this happened to you in your life, either on either side of this on either side of this statement. You grow up and you have a friend, and you know your friend's parents, right? And then you one day say to your friend, "Hey, Mary, hey, Bob, you're just like your mom," right? So you're going to and be an expression of their behavior. And they say, "I'm not like my mom. What are you talking about?" And they get upset. You can see it, others can see it, they can't see it. Or someone says it to you, "You're just like your dad," or "just like your mom." You don't see it because you're involved in the programming, okay? But you've espoused, you're an expression of their behavior because, or the person that has had the most influence on you, you become like them. This is what I'm talking about, the programming, how we don't even realize that, okay? So, now I want to touch on the programming again, how this came about. So this is us as a infant, okay? Here's our consciousness, okay? Now, if you notice, it's sort of a half of a circle. Why? Because our above that is our conscious brain. But if you notice, there's nothing there because it's not developed. So third trimester is when the brain turns on, okay? So science has found that during the third trimester is when our brains turn on. If, as a fetus, your mom, mom says to that fetus, "I'm going to explain," and they're explaining, they don't realize they're doing this. It's unconscious, but they are telling the fetus in the third trimester what this world is like. And if that mom's world, or the world for that mom at that point, is a stressful world, is a dangerous world, is a chaotic world, is a full of a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear and a lot of frustration. And you see where I'm going with this. Science has found definitively that the fetus, okay, cognitively, the fetus brain the conscious brain is underdeveloped by 50% because of the stress, because of all that energy mom is feeding, okay? Feeding, feel like this is like an umbilical cord, okay? Feeding into the fetus. Take the other side, where a mom, third trimester, okay, the fetus, and the messaging going into the fetus is the world is fine. There's a lot of happiness. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of pureness, whatever, however else you want to say it. Things are calm. Things are very good. There's a lot of health and wealth and what have you, and just a lot of ease. But mom is very relaxed. That brain, that fetus, that brain is developed fully. Okay? So, third trimester up to 7 years of age. What is going in? And you heard me say this in previous videos, and I'll keep on talking about this because this part is so very vital to our well-being of how we live our life, whether we head on down towards heart disease and cancer or what have you, or we go down a path of life where there's health and there's wealth and there's happiness and there's joy and there's prosperity. Mom and dad, what was their communications to each other, right? What was their communications around work, mostly about money? What was their what was their relationship with each other? Was there love? Was one maybe how was the relationship between mom and dad? See all this stuff. What were the rules for the family? See, a child, okay, when you come into this world, the child needs to know what the rules are for the family, right? What type of family are you growing up in? What are the rules for that family? You have to adopt. Okay, you have to understand these rules. So for the first from 0 to 2, The brain is in what's called delta, and delta is the sleep area of the brain. Is when the brain, you and I are completely sound asleep in the middle of the night. We're in delta. From age 2 to age 7, we are in what's called here. We are in what's called 2 to 7. Okay, so from 0 to 2, we're in delta. From 2 to 7, we're in theta. But the whole time from 0 to 7, our brains are being programmed. Okay, this is the intense period of our life, of our existence, from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. At age 7, we start to become somewhat conscious, and you'll understand this by the fact that you are, anytime you're talking about something that happened to you, very rarely do we ever say, yeah, I think I was like 6 months old, I was about 3 months old, I was about a year old. Our stories are always, I think about 4, I was maybe 3, 4. There is no specific, yes, I was this age. Beyond 7, okay, we're saying, yeah, I was 8, 9, I was 12, because our conscious mind, okay, here, our conscious mind is developed from age 7 on. So we're in theta, and theta is when we go to sleep at night, when we're drifting off to sleep and we're not quite sleeping yet, we're not quite awake. That's here. That's when we're easily programmed. And when we wake up in the morning, we wake up and we open up our eyes, and our brains are not functioning completely. We're just sort of kind of foggy. Again, we're in the programmable part of our life at that point. Okay. But the most intense time is from these 0 through 6. This is why it's so vitally important to understand this and how to break this programming. So but now our life is a printout of our programming. Your life, my life, is nothing more than a printout of all of this. Okay. And then from 7 years of age on, again, like I said, teachers, because from 7 years of age on, our teachers, coaches, religious leaders, all of that have an impact on who we are. But ideally, at our base, our operating system is this. This is our operating system. Our printout is our life. Where do you live? Do you live in a home? Do you live in a house? Do you live in an apartment, a one-bedroom apartment? What are your relationships like? All this. Do you have a job, or is it a career? Is it, are you happy in the career? Are you happy with your life overall? Okay. So you don't need to go back into your life to find out who did what, or to create your life. You don't need to go back to this. Just understand this is the functioning mechanism, the operating system that you're operating off. Okay. Just look at the life you have now, because it's the expression of your programs. Your life right now, again, going back to the guy driving behind me on the highway, my uncle slamming into the back of us. The programming was the expression, was the printout of their life. Now, knowledge is for the mind and experience is for the body. Dr. Joe Dispenza says this. The key then is our behaviors match our intentions, and our actions are equal to our thoughts. So when our mind and body are working together, we have this new experience. In the midst of an experience, all 5 senses plug us into the environment and narrow the focus. Now, again, I want to take us back to when I was, again, 12 years old, 11 years old, whatever it was. My mind narrowed the focus. As I'm sitting here talking to you, I can see myself sitting on a little grassy knoll on the side of the parkway here in New Jersey. After that accident, I can see it. I can see myself sitting there, and all the different people, my aunt, my mom, and the dog, and what have you. From that experience, because I narrowed all my senses, narrowed its focus, is what we do. Just like you can recall certain events in your life, because you narrow your focus and your mind takes a snapshot, and it's embossed in our brains. Okay, so this is why he talks about this in the midst of an experience. That's what happens. Okay, so we have our life is a collection of choices that we make. So we make the same choices. I talked about the 90% of our thinking, right, is from the previous day. Same choices lead us to the same behavior, right? The same behavior that creates our same experiences each day, and our same experiences produce um, or drive. So they are products of our same emotions. Okay, so our same experiences lead to the same emotions, which then drive the same thoughts, which leads to the same choices. So again, same choices lead to the same behavior, which create our same experiences, which produce our same emotions. These experiences then create these emotions, which drive our thoughts. So, our biology, neurocircuitry, neurochemistry, hormones, and genetic expression are all here from all of this. Okay, this drives all of it. This is our daily, our day-to-day activity of what we do, who we spend our time with, and how we go through our day. And you don't do anything other than just stay the same. So if we keep thinking the same thoughts, we keep making the same choices, we keep demonstrating the same behaviors, we keep creating this exact same experiences in our life that stamp the same neurons into the same patterns, all for the familiar feeling called ourself. 1 second, guys. All right, let's go. My dog Archie apparently didn't want to listen anymore. So here's where we're at. We are a collective of the thoughts, making the same choices. These same choices demonstrate the same behaviors, which create exactly the same experiences, okay, that stamp the same neurons in our brain into a same type of a pattern, all for the familiar feeling called ourself. So neurochemically, everything within our brains creates this almost like this blend of all these environments, these thoughts, these emotions. They all make up who we are. Now, we do this. Let's say we do this for 20 years, okay, or 30 years. Like my friend I was talking about with the heart surgery, or his sister with the aneurysm. We do this for over 20 or 30 years. This is called our identity. This is who we are. This is why when we get to a certain point in our life, people will say, well, they're so stuck in their, now I've just lost the thought, stuck in their ways. Okay, somebody can become stuck in their ways. It's because they've done something so many times, they don't know any difference. But they get to a point, and maybe you're at that now watching me saying, something's got to change. I'm not comfortable. Not sure where we're going, or I'm tired of what my life has been. This is how we identify it. And I'm going to talk to you about how we go about changing it. So this is called your identity, or what's known as the box of the brain, as Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about. A lot of this here, and what he says here, the box of the brain. Okay? Feelings and emotions are the end products of past experiences. So how we feel and our emotions about that are the end product of a past experience. And those past experiences drive, that's our programming. It drives our behavior. And we always remember our experiences better because we can remember how they feel. Just like the conversation I just had a few minutes ago about the accident. I remember how I felt back then and how it controls how I operate today. When we wake up in the morning and begin to think about all the problems that are connected to people, places, and conditions, the moment we get connected to the familiar feelings called us, we are in our past. Now, I say this again. The moment we wake up in the morning, okay, and we begin to think about all the problems in our life that are connected to the people in our life, the places in our life, maybe your job, okay, the people, and then the places and the conditions in our life. The moment we do this, okay, once we get connected to that familiar feeling called who we are automatically operating in our past. So we just started our day and we're already thinking in the past. Again, it's our programming. We don't even realize we're doing this. When feelings become the means of thinking, okay, we are thinking in the past. If you can't think greater than how you feel, then your past is going to be your future. You can't. So think about this. How we think and how we feel creates our state of being. You just told me demonstrate about the choices, right? How we think and how we feel creates our state of being. We can never think greater than this state of being. So the change then is to become greater than our environments, greater than our thinking. Thoughts are the vocabulary of our brain, and a brain is nothing more than a record of our past. Again, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about that. The brain is an artifact. It's nothing but just a collection of all our past thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Feelings are the vocabulary of our body, how we feel, okay? All right in here. This is why a lot of times people have stomach problems or gut or issues here or around our heart because we suppress these feelings. I know my father was a big one about this. A lot of his stuff, the way he was programmed coming out of the depression and that generation, you stuffed your feelings. You never talked about anything. You just kept them all inside. And unfortunately, for a lot of them, ended up in drug addictions. For my father was alcoholism. A lot of men back then, and women, but a lot of men back then became alcoholics because that's they just kept suppressing those feelings. Okay, so this cycle here, your thinking, okay, creates our feelings, and our feelings then produce the thinking. So it's our thinking and our feeling. Thinking and our feeling creates our state of being. It conditions the body to become the mind. Okay, it creates subconscious programming. Go back to what I talked about in the beginning. The programs, we watched how other people operated, right? We became them. We started to demonstrate their behaviors. Hey, John. Hey, Maria, you're just like your mom. Maria, hey, John, you're just like your dad. Why? Because we had certain feelings and thinkings. We were thinking and feeling, conditioning the body to become the mind. So we don't even realize it. And that's what I say. Oftentimes you tell somebody, hey, you're just like your mom or your dad. They have such a visceral reaction because they're like, they don't see it, but everybody else sees it because they've been operating on these programs unconsciously. Our entire state of being then is in the past. We operate, and I'll demonstrate this here for you in a second. We operate from the past. So now our body becomes the unconscious mind. It does not know the difference between the experience in our life that creates an emotion. It doesn't understand the difference, just like the guy behind me in the car, in the truck, okay? And an emotion that are created by thoughts alone. So the body is believing it's living in the same past experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Now you've heard me you heard me talk about the deer. Okay, a deer is grazing in the wild, and off in the distance it sees a lion. Okay, and as the lion gets closer and starts to chase after the deer takes off. It outruns the lion. It has to produce as it sees this lion. It has to start to produce all the stress hormones, and all the hormones goes to its legs and to its body in order to run. The body just naturally does this, and off it goes. And if it outruns the lion, then within about 10 minutes it's back to grazing again. The stressful environment has passed. The body summoned all the energy. I talked about the energy earlier, right? And the stress hormones went to its legs and all the areas for it to outrun the lion. But that is over. But for you and me, we're constantly living in our past. Okay, the outer environment, the external environment is triggering these feelings. And if we're constantly under stress, competition, worrying about what other people think about us, say about us, how they look, how they act, right? If we're doing this, then our bodies are constantly in this stressful environment, and this is why you can end up going for a routine checkup and being told you need to get your butt to a hospital ASAP. You need to have heart surgery, or you're not listening to your brain telling you, hey, something's not right here. I keep getting migraines. You just I'll just close my eyes for a little while and let it pass. It's talking to you, but you're ignoring it. You're procrastinating. And finally, one day, boom. Okay. So the body literally is in the past. To change that, to become greater than our body. The emotions that keep us anchored to the past. These, and again, I know I sound somewhat redundant, but these emotions that we have are nothing more than the past events coming up in our mind. The habits that keep running us into the same future. Emotions are a record of the past. If emotions drive our thoughts and behaviors, we will be predictable in our life. I want to say that again. If emotions drive our thoughts and behavior, we're going to be very predictable in our life. The past then will equal the future. Your past is going to equal your future. Think an insecure thought, and you're going to feel insecure. There's just no other way around it. But the brain then generates more insecure thoughts, making more chemicals to feel insecure. So if we think insecure, we're going to feel insecure, and the brain is going to say, okay, fine, I'm going to keep giving you more reasons to feel insecure. People, however, and this is very, very big, you might want to write this down. People use their boss to reaffirm their addiction to judgment. They use enemies to reaffirm addictions to hatred. They'll use their coworkers to reaffirm their addiction to competition. Friends reaffirm their addiction to suffering, and the parents to reaffirm their addictions to guilt. Going back, parents, okay? So we can see then from here, parents, friends, coworkers, enemies, and boss. That sounds an awful lot like programs, right? The people in our life that taught us how to think, how to feel, how we're supposed to act. We become addicted to feelings. We become addicted to our behaviors. We don't even like the behavior. We don't even like the feelings, but we become addicted to them. Why? Because again, it's going on 24/7, 365 in our life, and we don't even realize it. And we don't even realize we're operating each day, again, with our eyes closed. We're not awake. This is how we end up with disease. A habit then, if we live we're living this life of ours is very habitual. A habit is a redundant set of automatic, unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that are acquired through frequent repetition. When you've done something so many times that your body now knows how to do it better than your mind. Body is on autopilot, dragging you into a future based on what you've done in the past. Karma, take our past, right? From this video now, take our past, place it on top of our future. That's what we're going to call karma. The moment you wake up in the morning and see the same people, go to the same places, and do the exact same things at the exact same time, every single day, your personal reality creates then your personality. It's your environment that is causing you to think and feel equal to everything that you know. So just as sort of put a summary on this, think about when you wake up tomorrow morning. Right? So tomorrow's Monday morning. You're going to get out of bed on the same side of the bed. You put your slippers on. You're going to go to your bathroom. You're going to maybe brush your teeth or something. You're going to have this thought of coffee. You're going to go to your kitchen. You're going to have a cup of coffee. Okay? Then you're going to have this thought about eating your breakfast. You're going to have your breakfast. You're going to sit in your same chair. use the same spoon, drinking your coffee from the same mug. Okay? Then you're going to take your shower. You're going to wash yourself exactly the same way you always have done. You're going to get into your same car. You're going to drive out of your driveway. You're going to take the same route to work. You're going to go to your job. The same people are going to push the same emotional buttons, same coworkers, right? Which we just talked about. You're going to see your same boss. You're going to go through your day. You're going to gossip. You're going to do whatever it may be. You're going to come home. You're going to go home. You're going to have dinner. You're going to sit in your same chair, have pretty much the same kind of a meal thereabouts, right? You're going to watch some TV. You're going to check your email, your Facebook, your Instagram, whatever the social media is. Watch a couple of same programs that are on. And you're going to go to bed. You're going to get back into your bed. And your life has changed. If you want your life to change, then that has to change. This is what we have to start to focus on. As long as we're thinking and feeling equal to everything that we know, we'll keep creating more of the same. Every single person, thing, object, and place has a neurologic network in our brain that's mapped because we've experienced them. It's our external environment that turns on different circuits in our brain. Remember, 25% of the energy each day is used up just to be part, just for our thinking, right? Causing us to think equal to everything that we know. As long as we keep thinking equal to everything that we know, we're going to keep creating more of the same. So I just kind of went through a day in the life of, right? But how do we change? If we want to change, this is how we go about it. To change, then, is to be in your world greater than circumstances, greater than our environment, greater than our conditions. Every great person in history knew this. Every great person knew this. The moment your vision is greater than the conditions in your environment, you are no longer living in your past. So now, we take the moments that we want to experience in our life. Go back to that affirmation that I spoke about when I first first started talking in this video. It is seeing ourselves, being that person, living that life, having those things. It's not about having the things. It's about becoming that person. It's about seeing others who are not awake and understanding they're just not awake. It is awakening ourselves, the realization that we are operating based off of these programs in our life. Everything goes back to them, to those programs. So this is how we become greater than that. When we sit down and we can become quiet and we just let thoughts come up. The thoughts that are going to come up are, hey, this seems somewhat different. I'm not sure what's going on here, okay? This is how we go about changing that. When we realize, hey, wait a minute, I'm not liking the body's not going to like this because the body is the mind. The body likes doing this, living the way we've been living. People use each other to reaffirm their addiction to suffering and victimization. That's huge. Again, Dr. Joe Dispenza. You and I use other people to reaffirm this addiction to suffering and to being a victim. We're all, the old self is nothing more than just a giant victim. Can't do anything about it, man. It's just who I am, right? We're stuck in our ways. That's just who I am. No, can't do anything about it. This is how we start to understand that. We become awake and we start to become more of who we want to be and less of the person we used to be. So the old self is here, okay? We want to become the new self. So we have to go through this period of change, okay? This understanding. But that's going to feel uncomfortable, okay? It's going to be a lot of uncertainty with that. There's going to be a lot of unfamiliar. We're not used to this. The body's not used to this person. But as we go through this and we understand this stuff and we understand that the uncomfortability is just the body breaking the addiction. As we go through this, it doesn't feel familiar. It's just the body breaking this addiction, right? because we use each other to reaffirm our addiction to suffering and victimization. In order to break this, then, we have to get to the point where we're living our life literally moment to moment. As we do this, though, we start to, this is again, Dr. Joe Dispenza talked about this. We are neurologically, we are biologically, and we are chemically. Remember, I talked about the um, the chemicals within our body, right? How we're nothing, we're really atoms, but the cells, we are changing this in our world, in our body, neurologically, and in our body. We are breaking and changing, and it's the genetic death of the old self, the genetic death, the breaking of those programs, the rewiring, okay, in our brains, the rewiring, and then our body chemically of who we are going to become. The thoughts that we are behind, that were behind us, our conscious mind, those thoughts that have always been there, okay, these thoughts have always been here, they just haven't been conscious. It's too hard, I'll start tomorrow, it's my mom's fault, it's my ex's fault, it's my mother-in-law's fault, whoever it may be, I'm not good enough. These thoughts are now going to come to the forefront, going to come to the consciousness, the conscious part of our brain. Our thoughts create a reality that we will then have to overcome. Thoughts represent units of energy. Every time we have a thought, we use energy. Now, I want you to think about this part. This is from Dr. Bruce Lipton. Thoughts represent units of energy. Your thought, every time you have one, consider that like a unit of energy. And then how do we want to spend this energy? Every time we have a thought, we use that energy. So how do you want to use these thoughts? How do you want to use this energy? If thoughts were like a checkbook, okay, let's say, for instance, you got a bank account, but it's not the money, it's energy. And you got a checkbook. Okay, you wouldn't go around saying, hey, here, I'll write you a check and I'm going to make a withdrawal from this account, this energy account. I'm going to give this check to you. Here, you want a check? Here, you want to go buy a car? Here, I'll give you $5,000. Go buy a car. We wouldn't do that, okay? So what we have I want you to think inside of you as an energy budget. We have an energy budget in our body. Energy keeps us alive. Now, remember I said in the beginning about how much energy we use just to have these thoughts, to have our brain thinking these thoughts. Counterproductive or draining thoughts, or thoughts that are withdrawals from this account known as our body. Fear, anger, compete. We have to compete with others. Remember I was telling you about a few minutes ago about our addiction to our boss and other people in our life, worry, frustration. Okay. Not only and talking about my friends, right? What they had to go through, their health issues, myself with the cancer. These thoughts impair our immune system and they bring on disease. This is what is a great quote. Worrying is praying for something that you don't want. So stop worrying. And that was from Bhagavan Das. Okay, that's a great quote to adopt in our life. So this is how we start to become more aware in our life. We start to become more understanding of how our life we've been leading this life up to now. I'm hoping that you're much more aware after watching this video what we're doing to our body unconsciously. My hope is through this video and my other videos as well is to bring this awareness to the world, not for me, but understand what I went through and to really show other people that you don't have to go through this in order to awaken. You don't have to have the cancer diagnosis. You don't have to have the diagnosis from the hospital saying you got a heart problem and take your medicine for the rest of your life or whatever, or you've got a migraine. We don't have to go through this, or a horrific car accident. We don't have to do this. We just have to understand that it's these programs. And what we want to do is we want to when I go back to the brain waves, theta brain waves, at the end of our day when we're going to sleep, if you're having difficulty understanding, well, what is it that I want in my life? How do I want to live my life? It could be something just as simple as I just want to live a more peaceful, relaxing existence. Then when you're going to sleep at night, you want to have affirmations. You want to start to put these affirmations. Remember, theta brainwaves is when we're most programmable. At the end of the day, have these types of programming being put into our subconscious. When we wake up in the morning, before we get our day started, okay? I'm not going to go back to that affirmation, but we want to listen to Dr. Joseph Murphy. Listen to that affirmation. Understand that this world is perfect. This universe is absolutely perfect. There's absolutely nothing wrong in this universe. It is beautiful. It is perfect. You are perfect and beautiful on the inside of who you are. You are part of this source called God consciousness, called God universal source, whatever it may be, source energy. This is who you are at your core. When the time that we're able to tap into this and really really actually reconnect with this, because we've always been connected to it. I've always used this particular here, like, let me move this out of the way. If this represents source, okay, and we are connected to source, the only thing different taking place right now in your life is that the connection between source, where you emanated from, you and I, and who we are right here, this connection is dirty. It is worn out. We want to reconnect. We want to clean up that connection to our source energy, to God, or whatever it may be, universal intelligence. We want to reconnect to that, or we want to clean up the connection. Better put, we want to clean up the connection. This is how we do it. This is how we understand this. How on a chemical level, again, we are all these trillions of cells. An atom is 99.99999% nothing, and 0.000001% matter. You and I are more nothing than we are matter. This body that we have is nothing more than a virtual reality suit. Who you are is the source behind this body. And I would like for you to look at your life from this point forward as each person that you see. Try to see beyond their eyes. Try to see that person, that source energy that's inside of them. Society wants us to feel like we're disconnected, that we're not, we are all connected. Okay, the person who cuts you off on the highway or drives up behind you and flashes the lights and beeps the horn, you can just let them go. Okay, they're not awake yet. You are. For the rest of your life now, you have this choice. You're either going to clean up this connection to source energy, or you're going to stay a hostage to the programming inside of you. It's your choice. That's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell. I'd love to have you part of our team. And by all means, go ahead and share this video, because the more people see these types of videos, the more peaceful, more whole, and the more healthy, the healthier this world of ours will become. Thank you.